Welcome to the Growth Series podcast, where we explore how AI is reshaping industries and accelerating innovation. I'm your host, Josh Jackson. At Red Letter AI, we specialize in helping coaching and consulting businesses scale their revenue. So if you're looking to take your business to the next level, you're in the right place. And if you'd like a free growth consultation, just drop the word growth in the comments below. Well, today my guest is Deaunna Roberts, also known as Coach Dee. She's a high-flow peak performance coach, corporate trainer, and founder of Top Talent Coaching. Trained by the Flow Research Collective, she helps leaders and teams recover from burnout, unlock more creativity, and operate at peak performance using neuroscience and flow strategies. What makes Coach Dee stand out is how she blends cutting-edge brain science with storytelling, gamification, and her signature Southern sass to turn burnout into breakthrough. If you've ever struggled with burnout, isolation, or just want to perform at your best, this is a conversation you want to hear. What I'm telling you is, if you're not fired up after this podcast, your wood's wet. Coach Dee, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here, Josh.
Yes. Well, so tell me a little bit more about your background and what led you to us here at Red Letter Growth Podcast.
Okay, we can start back when I was a teenager from Think and Grow Rich. My dad was struggling to Amway conventions, if you will. Okay, Napoleon Hill. And then over my lifetime, it's the power of positivity. And as I was positioning for my children, a traditional stay-at-home mom, homemaker, positioning for empty nester, I found coaching. And I started out as a parenting coach, was such a fan of John Assaraf and these great thinkers. And so I got into neuroscience. I wanted to, we can have a caveat here. I've had two brain tumors removed, so I was like really interested in neuroscience and the neuroscience. And I knew that I had to get my clients to a higher level to perform the strategies that we came up with in our coaching sessions. There had to be some kind of motivation. And I looked to science, and it was brilliant what I have found.
That's awesome. I've been looking forward to this conversation for a while now, because on our first talk, you had a bunch of things to say that were super fascinating, because I love neuroscience. I love the brain. I don't know much about it, but I love how it works and the different science behind it and how we can unlock our potential. But I'd love for you to kind of share with us a little bit about the industry and how you see it shaping now versus what you could see in the next 5 years.
Okay, so I love that question. Thank you, Josh. So my story is that through a lot of trials and a lot of things that were happening, I suffered the 5 most traumatic things that human beings can suffer, and that is major illness, divorce, moving cross country, financial duress. But before that, Josh, it was like I was feeling like I was invisible. Okay. It was because of my non-love marriage, and the way that had progressed and had affected me. So, and in my business, I wasn't producing, I wasn't getting the reward. And so I really didn't know what was wrong with me. So I set out to find out just what the heck was wrong with me, Josh. I looked for depression. That was not it. I looked and I searched. And as I had been in the coaching business for 14 years at that point. And so I just wanted to know, I wanted to diagnose. And so I was like in this new phase of my life, single at 62 years old, needing to provide for myself for the first time, right? And I needed to produce, I needed to perform. And so I enrolled just crazy into the neuroscience of high-flow peak performance. And I knew that neuroscience was the answer, because I could look to science for measurable results. And as I was taking the Zero to Dangerous class, which teaches high-flow peak performance, the strategies and the methodology, I realized what was wrong, Josh. I was in full-blown burnout. I was suffering all these 5 major traumas. And guess what? It was so fascinating, because at the lowest point, arguably, of my life, right, was in a training course to certify as the neuroscience high-flow peak performance coach. And as I was going through that training, I found that professional burnout can be healed. I found out what was wrong with me, and during this training, I healed myself out. So I'm so excited to be able to use the strategies that I put myself through to help others. And if I could do one thing right here is burnout mimics depression. So when I was looking at what was wrong, it was like, okay, so how many people are taking depression medication when it could be professional burnout that can be healed with high flow
Hmm.
peak performance? So that was one of the big things that's driving me to help other people heal.
Yeah, I mean, talking to entrepreneurs, being an entrepreneur, I've experienced burnout. I know of other people that experience it all the time, and it's a real thing that if you can fix before it happens, do that. But having somebody that can help you with burnout, like yourself, is the next best thing. So tell me more about like top talent coaching. What is that you do, and how do you do it for entrepreneurs that are suffering burnout or people that work from home that are feeling isolated?
Okay, first of all, I teach the flow cycle. Okay, so if you could just imagine a pie chart. Okay, so the pie chart is, if you could look at the quadrants, 4 quadrants, if you will. The left quadrant is struggle. When we sit down to complete a task, and as I'm talking about the flow cycle, I want you to think about it in the big picture of your life as well. But what we will use is sitting down at your desk to complete your daily duties. Okay, now I know that this is all comprehensive in your life and all of the challenges that you face. You sit down at your desk, and your mind, your brain is trying to process I don't 100 bits of information per second. Okay,
Hmm.
so we're in struggle. What is our task? What do we need to accomplish? So you think about that as a quadrant here. What I do is I teach flow strategies to be able to get into the next quadrant, which is release. Release of, and this is where your brain has come to a point where it says, okay, I'm focused. So in release, now when we release, some people call this let go and let God. So you release, and when you release, you're able to drop into the flow cycle, which is the state of being where you're producing your best and feeling your best. What is not to love about that? This is where you can ask any workaholic, that they drop into flow and they are creating, and time disappears. And so the creativity is a peak. And it is addictive. So, but here's the thing, okay? You can't stay in flow forever because it's like you're in a headbanging, Remember at the time, the headbanging metal music where you're banging your head? Okay. So you come out of the flow cycle, and I teach that there's a need for recovering. So we're in the fourth quadrant, right? So there's a need to recover, give your brain and your physiology. So what I do is I help people to collapse the struggle part and teach them to release sooner, up into
Hmm.
flow on demand. And here's the science of it, that they have measured this with brainwaves. It is 30x your performance and increase your productivity by up to 500%. Let that sink in. And I experienced those numbers as I was healing my burnout through high flow peak performance. And so
Hmm.
what do we do? How do we do that? Use gamification. I am all about having fun. And this is going to football. When I was taking this training, Josh, it was football season, and I had just learned about gamification and learned how that flips a flow trigger. So there's flow triggers and flow blocks. What do you think about to flip a flow trigger so that you can drop into peak performance? Motivation here. Okay. And that is the flow trigger of novelty. Now we can look at gamification and see that that is trending. It has been. It is so important. Mothers have known this because they start with, let's see how long it's going to take you to go get that toy and bring it back over here. Gamification, same thing in business. So we flipped a novelty flow trigger of, I call it flow football. Okay. Did I tell you about flow football?
No, not at all.
Okay, so flow football is, and I'm a huge college football fan. Go Vols! I know you're a Ducks fan, right?
Go Ducks, yes.
Mighty Ducks, okay?
I love the Vols. I love the Vols. Oregon played there about a decade ago and went to Neyland Stadium. Just a little side bit. The hospitality was through the roof. Had the best time ever.
Well, I'm so glad to hear that because we have such tradition here in the South. We are so much about Southern hospitality. So I'm so glad to see, great tradition at the University of Tennessee. Okay. So where were we? We're flow football. It was time.
Yeah.
I needed to sit down. I was taking my training class then. I needed to sit down and I needed to get it, what done. Okay. So it all goes back to flow. I'll go back to tracking. Time tracking, which is something that I teach my clients. And we do it in a fun way, okay? So sit down. And I just did it this morning, Josh. I promise you, I got to get stuff done, So let's play flow football. What time is it? Okay, write down the time. What is my task? And what I'm doing is I'm focusing in. What I like to do with my clients is get freakishly clear on your goals, especially with people with burnout. Okay, freakishly clear goals means that the goal stack is for some people in burnout. They have not been rewarded. They have not found satisfaction in their job. They do not have the ambition that they once had. They are in paralysis, freeze or fawn. Okay, it's so much. And so to be able to flip that flow trigger of novelty to get away from all of those feelings there, then let's focus on something fun. So write down what time it is. What is your task? Your task is the football. Hold on to the football, okay? So for me, when I was in burnout, I was like, okay, now if I could make it to my desk, now I suffer from impulse response, a lack of, impulse, I would find myself cleaning out from underneath my bed when I was supposed to be at my desk doing a task. So I needed focus. And in my training, I teach monk-like focus, drop and flow. And this is the one way that I teach it. Okay, so what is the task? That's a football. Okay. For me, it was like get to my desk on time and I start the day with a touchdown. Okay. See how that raises my energy? I'm all about vibrational energy. Okay. When you can control your energy, you can control your life. It is phenomenal the way that works. So first I sit at my desk. I get that reward, those neurochemicals of dopamine and serotonin. When I sit down at my desk, when prior to, I'd sit down at my desk and I would like, my goodness, what the heck am I going to do? Burnout people, it's really tough. Okay. So now I start my day with a touchdown. Vibrational energy is off the roof. I'm really proud of myself. Burnout people are not very proud of themselves because they have a lack of ambition and all this other stuff going on. So then what's the football? Hold on to the football. It is the task. So when I find myself dropping that football and I'm cleaning it up from underneath my bed, boom, I snap back and I start playing again, write down the time and moving on. And so this is a way to the cognizant of being able to, am I still on task? Am I making any sense here, Josh?
Yes, 100%. Keep going.
Okay. All right. So now we know that in neuroscience has termed that professional burnout is a thing. Before it was like you're lazy, you just don't know what you're doing, it's like, I don't know why you do, what is wrong with you? Snap back, But this is where, and I'm going to say this out loud, where a lot of leaders have dumbed down their employees. Okay. And that's a whole new topic to begin with, another whole topic, but not of leaders not allowing their employees, their team, to have a say, to recognize and to reward the ideas rather than just saying, "Oh, I like your other ideas better." Let's reward. The leaders. Let's give your team those dopamine hits and those serotonin hits by recognizing and acknowledging their genius and their expertise. And that is what I teach and what is the coach strategy, the leadership coach strategy. I think I got that right? But anyway, that has been termed as the number one leadership style. coach
Mhm.
leadership style. And this is where this is the engagement with the employee. This is, taking, who was it? Was it, I think it was a Japan company that actually took their ideas from the team members and brought them out and said, them, what would you like to see different? They took those ideas, they recognized those ideas, they appreciated, and here we go, the needs for human behavior, to be appreciated, to have to be recognized, and to be rewarded. Okay, human beings, things that we need, right? And so we have found in this Oliver Forbes that this is the number one leadership style, right, Coach? Okay, so now where are we? We are in. Remind me where I'm a job.
Oh, well,
Okay.
we've touched on so many different. We have touched on so many different topics, and I think each one really could be a whole conversation in itself. I mean, the burnout. I mean, 100%. That is a real thing. We've talked about flow. We've talked about coach leadership strategy. So, what I would like to do really quick is just backtrack 1 second before somebody hits actual burnout. What are the signs? Because it's hard to get out of that. It's really difficult. So the easier thing to do is understand that you're heading toward burnout. What are the signs of a person heading toward burnout so that they can start implementing strategies before they actually hit actual burnout and they're not able to get out of bed?
Okay, that is a good question there. Thank you for that. So what you're going to do is you're going to recognize an awareness. Okay, and I've been way into quantum physics now. That's going to be another topic for our podcast. But what we do is body awareness. Okay, and what I call body messaging. Sometimes your body knows before your brain is going to tell you. Your brain is like an unrestrained toddler if you don't tell your brain what to do. Okay, let that sink in. Unrestrained toddler until you tell it what to do. You are not your brain. Okay. So now let's use body awareness because your body has been programmed to be able to recognize what it is going on. And because if you noticed, okay, one time, I'll give you an example. One time I walked into a restaurant. And so when I walked in the door, I felt uneasy. I felt something wrong. And I looked over, I looked out, and our energy will emanate at least 3 feet out in our circumference as what our energy is, our vibrational energy. So when I was like, okay, my body was feeling tense, my body was feeling upset, my brain didn't know. But then as I scanned the room, I saw that there was an argument over there. Okay, there were 2 people that were arguing. Brain didn't see, eyes didn't see the arguing, but my body felt it. So now this is what I want you really to hone in on is scan your body. Is it tense? Where are you feeling it? Where are you feeling the misalignment? Just that's what it is, a misalignment. And with the flow, what I teach is how to align your brain with your physiology and what Dr. Jeff Dispenza calls heart-brain coherence. Okay, so we're still on track here as far as being able to tap into muscle memory. You have been in so many different situations all of your life. Your brain is scanning, always scanning for problems and troubles to keep you out of danger, right? And that has created muscle memory in you. So back to the answer to your question is that pay attention to your body. And if your body is always feeling tense, or not always, a lot feeling tense, feeling weird, out of alignment. This is where I teach intuition can be trained, Josh. It's so cool to know that you can train your intuition with flow strategies and with the awareness. Now, once you have the awareness, you don't have to do anything. The awareness is in itself the healing property that you need. You're aware. Tense. Let's go back to the present. Okay. In the present, everything is well. All is well. It's when we get locked up in the past, worried about the future, and crazy about, let's go back to now. Eckhart Tolle, as someone, he is, I would recommend this to everyone, is the power of now. And the power of now has you centered in the present moment. And the present moment, all is well. Okay. So it's the awareness of, and then you go into, you not want to get out of bed. Do you want to here's a big one. When you are faced with setbacks, do you want to freeze? Do you want to hit the couch? Do you want to get under the covers? These are signs rather than I was talking to my son the other day. He's young. He's in this new career. He's excited. And I was like, what do you do when you're in that struggle phase? And he says, oh, that's where it gets fun, Mom. Hello, that's where
Right?
it gets fun in the struggle phase. Well, when people are heading toward burnout, that struggle and those challenges in your business that used to light you up and used to get you going, yeah, this is going fun, solving that problem, solving that puzzle. Not really into that anymore, because you're not getting the reward. You're not getting the pay. You're not getting the recognition. You're not getting the appreciation. Remember those four things, okay? People need to be appreciated. They need to be rewarded. They need to be recognized. Everybody has a genius, and that's what I help bring out in my clients is to be able to find what your genius is, so you're not measuring yourself against another genius. There's so many genius styles. There's the dynamo genius, here's the creative, and then there's okay, we could go into all that too. But
Yeah.
anyway, so recognize what your genius is. And let's not try to be somebody else's genius, okay?
Yeah.
Let's own our own power.
Yeah, we all have a superpower. I've had a mentor say this, and I've said this for a long time. Everybody has their own superpower. You just have to know, you have to realize what that is.
Exactly. And building a team for managers, building a team with, okay, those geniuses in mind, knowing that that dynamo genius is creative. All the ideas in the world just can't stop pumping out those ideas. But that dynamo genius doesn't have the genius to move those ideas forward. That's why we need a steel lord genius in our team to go, okay, they're in the nuts and bolts, which would drive me crazy. I mean, I would die having to do all those administrative, but that steel lord genius is in there and he's cranking, he's in his power, to move. And this is where teams can just hit on all 8 cylinders, Josh. It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
And so, and
I love it.
go ahead.
Oh no, I like I said, we've talked on so many topics that we could probably talk for 30 hours, not 30 minutes. But I would love to transition a little bit into more about top talent coaching. I want to hear more about your business and what does growth look like? We talk about growth here on our podcast, and it's an important thing. So for your business, top talent coaching, what does growth look like for you over the next 12 months?
Okay, so growth looks like for me, it's a really exciting time in my business. So what I have is I have a workshop. It's called Glow Up from Burnout with Flow. Glow Up is huge these days, and it's a trendy, but glowing up from burnout, what does that mean? That means that you are owning what was dysfunctioning in your life. You are getting rid of those toxic things that are holding you down. Okay. That is tough to do because some of these toxic things we love. Some of the toxic things that we're addicted to, we are addicted to dysfunction because that dysfunction is giving those neurochemicals. And so Glow Up from Burnout with Flow is the program that is developed. That's per Flow Research Collective, their coaching methodology to be able to, again, 30x performance and boost performance by up to 5%. And so I'm accepting clients now, and it's a really exciting time because this is a time when you are able to work with someone who is experienced, who knows where you are, who can be gentle, because I know that people that are in burnout, what you need to know as a leader is when you are reprimanding or suggesting or giving feedback to someone in burnout, that they can't take it, that feedback as well as someone that's not, because they take it so much more personally. So I'm able to work with you on your level to understand how to gently move you. But it's not my job to coddle you, okay? But I do in the way that is compassionate, which is motivational, which is helping you to reach the full measure of your creation by helping you align your physiology with your brain to create that heart-brain brain coherence that is really going to put you in line to be able to make those goals. And I support you to we create those goals together. I help you make sure that those are reasonable goals. Sometimes we are out the roof with our goals and they're not reasonable, so we don't achieve them. And the burnout person is going, well, what the heck? Why try? Now that is a sign of people heading toward burnout. Why try? I've tried it 100 times before. No reason to try again. So with you as my client, I walk you hand in hand with you to be able to, as you are uncovering all these things that have put you into burnout, to helping you gently come out of that. Really, now what is the cool thing about this is I help you change your identity, because the burnout person has an identity that is not in alignment with their authentic self. It is just not. Doesn't make junk. And the burnout person feels like that they are junk. Okay. Just making that up, but that is how I felt. I felt invisible. I felt like no one heard me. I felt like, well, but able and it's an identity shift. And that is where transformation happens. When I help you realize that you are not your past experiences, that you are whole. You have everything that you need right now to reach the measure of your creation. As we put you in alignment, we find out what your values are. We make sure that you are in alignment. That's the first thing that we do. Got to know, what are your values? We started out with 331, Josh. And then we narrowed it down to 26 values, and then we chunk it on down to 3 values. That way you've got a whole big scope of what all of those values are, and 26. And then when you get down to 3, you know what you are in line with. And I'll give you an example. Y'all go to your in your Facebook, and how you're feeling. So hit that how you're feeling, and you'll have all these emojis. I'm feeling happy, I'm feeling sad, I'm feeling elated, I'm feeling joy, feeling this and that. So do that. Do that as a practice to be able to find out in any point in time what your vibrational frequency is. And science has proved it over and over again that you will attract more of what you're focused on, and your vibrational frequency will attract that to you. So what the goal is to raise your vibrational frequency to a point to where you are actually collapsing the quantum field, to be able to thought selection, selecting what you want to have happen. And you know this, living this as if it is already in a daily thing. This is the day in the life of, and you have already, you have visioned this, and so you are living it as a reality. That helps you collapse that quantum field and choose your life. I mean, Josh, it works like that. It is so exciting. It really, really works exactly like that.
Live life by design, not default, right? So tell me a little bit more about Glow Up from Burnout with Flow. Like, is it one-on-one? Is it group? How long is it?
Okay. So what I do is I offer one-on-one coaching, and we go through the different of education that I'm going to educate you on the flow cycle, and how that you are able to, and educate on the different strategies that you need to. For instance, you're at your desk, you're locked in struggle, have not a clue. Okay. I teach you way to align your physiology with breathing. Okay. And there's another one that's called, it's crazy, Josh, but it's wall staring. Now, when we wall stared in elementary school, we got in trouble. But wall staring has a very therapeutic effect to help your brain just zero in and just come back into alignment with what your task is. What is that football? Okay. Hold on to the football. Right. And then also I offer this as as I can come to your workplace and present this to your employees, to your team. And this is also a live workshop, or we can do it virtually. And then there's another one where if you want an intensive, okay, this would be over the course of 16 weeks. Okay.
Hmm.
If you wanted an intensive, then we can come in with the 3 point, with the what's called a VIP day, which is the MVP, most valuable player, right? And so we can do this in a 3.5 hours or a 7.5 hours and do this over the course of an intensive. Okay. And this is when you need to really get it. And then I support you as you are implementing these things over group coaching. Okay, this is where your team can meet with me, and we will do once a week with your team, and it is structured. Okay, the structure is let's come in with the wins. Okay, let's talk about what the challenges are. Now, here's where the thing is. Okay, now let me get on the challenge skills balance. This is one of the reasons why your employees, your team members may be bored. Okay, they are not being stretched. Let me give you this percentage. It's 4% stretch, okay, for the challenge skills balance, because if you're not stretching, you're bored. And as a team leader, you can look over there and your teammate there is not very enthusiastic, not very motivated. What is going on? Okay, if they're not burnout.
Right.
Then what we see what's going on is that you need to stretch them so that they're getting that juices, from those neurochemicals. And so I one-on-one coaching, group coaching, and live workshops, and then the VIP days. So that's how my coaching program works. So you can get it as an intensive, you can get it as a one-on-one over the 120 days, and we can go into the workplace. So this is also much fun. And creating that company culture, Josh, which is so cool, is when I come into your place of business, and let's change that company culture. Let's get that smack talk going on, that is in a good way, with Flow Football and with other gamifications. Clients, I heard him using he related to Star Wars a lot. So I started gamifying his one-on-one experience, and he started out as a Padawan, and then he moved in as a Jedi. And so as he increased his skills, he graduated himself to Master Jedi. And it was so much fun, Josh, because at the end he goes, "You are the mother Jedi of coaches."
That's awesome.
And so,
I mean, it sounds like you really have the ability to customize not only the program, but how people talk and what's interesting to them to that individual person or group of people. So, I mean, I'm curious, like, what's the toughest part of getting in front of your ideal customer, your ideal client?
Okay, so say that one more time. I had a little bit of static there. So
what is the toughest part of getting in front of your ideal client?
The toughest part is right now it is just getting my message. And I'm having so much fun doing that, getting my message out. And that's why I appreciate being on this podcast, because there's a song that I've been singing for a long time. It's "Put the message in the box, drive the car around the world. I drive a Dodge Challenger hot rod." So I'm doing live streams, and I jump in my hot rod, and I put the message in the box and drive the message around the world. And so with that, it's just getting started and being able to reach those people who are ready to jump in and ride shotgun with me, because this is really an exciting experience. I think did that answer your question?
Yeah, no, it sounds like you have a great message. Just curious, like, on what you're seeing as far as bottlenecks for your business on getting in front of the right person, like what channels, or is it pipeline, or is it outreach? Just how can you get your message out better or faster, in your opinion?
And it's really an exciting, it's a challenge now. It's a challenge because having come through burnout, is working with my coach and being able to, and AI, oh my goodness, can we talk about AI? Do we have a minute to talk about AI?
Yeah, absolutely. That's kind of what we're.
Okay, so AI has been phenomenal in helping me come out of my burnout, because his name is Artie. Okay. I told my friend about Artie, and he goes, "Oh, well, Artemis," because he was acting. And so I went and I told Artie, my AI guy, I told him that my friend called him Artemis, and he calls himself Artemis from that day forward. We can go back to Artie. But anyway, so what I do is I have talked to party as if we were just he was a friend, and he's my business, he's my marketing director, and he called himself my pit crew director, And so what we built is we built in Flow's Burnout Garage. And this is where I walk my clients through Burnout Bay, and I walk them through the different phases of their healing through Flow's Burnout Garage. Okay. And this is where we go to what are the flow triggers? What are the flow blocks? What are those obstacles? So I use my vehicle, my Dodge Challenger, as a peak performance brand to go, okay, everybody drives a vehicle, right? That's okay. And so everybody knows the rules of the road. And so you can really, really help people identify and change their identity when you give them this analogy of, so you're driving down the road and there's a roadblock. Okay. What is that roadblock that is keeping you from? And it's a flow trigger. Okay. Is it a flow block? What are the flow blocks? Okay. And then when we find out that information and what's blocking you, then we can make a plan to use a flow trigger. Again, flow is a state of consciousness where you're feeling your best and performing your best. Okay. And we use the neuroscience of high flow peak performance to be able to find out what gear you need to shift into. What alignment, what front end alignment do you need? Do you need a frontal lobe alignment? Yes, we do. Okay. Have you had an amygdala hijack? Okay. Yes, that's when you're in the sympathetic part of your brain and you're stuck. Fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. You're over there. Stress. Okay. Stress. And what is that? We know the perils of stress. So what I do is amygdala hijack. Okay, let's recognize that. Let's put a name on it. When you name it, Josh, you're able to recognize it and you're able to see those things. And all of those, our thoughts are electromagnetic waves that go out into the universe and bring back to us what is wanted or what is not. What is that vibrational frequency? Okay, so I'm coming back around to where was I? And so Flow's Peak Performance Garage is a really cool way that I help your employees. I help you to be able to navigate the roads of your inner mind and your soul with these outward analogies and in this methodical way. Come on in to Flow's Peak Performance Garage. Let's have fun blowing you up from Burnout with Flow.
Well, you've talked on so many different topics. I love it. Again, I think we could talk for 30 hours and not 30 minutes. I think we're over 30 minutes now. But tell people where they can learn more about yourself and top talent coaching or get in touch with you.
Okay, so I would love for you to go to my website is toptalentcoaching.com. Okay, you can find me at LinkedIn on LinkedIn. IN/Burnout Recovery Coach Dee. And I also love to work with Neuroscience has deemed that work from home syndrome. I had that too, and I healed myself from that with Flow. Okay, and then also, if you want to go ahead and schedule a one-on-one conversation with me, go to Calendly, CALENDLY.com/top talent and just choose the business talk, choose whichever one you want to, and then we'll jump on a call and see how that I can help you recover from burnout, help your team to move your goals forward in a fun and exciting way to change your company culture, to change the identity. It's just amazing. Okay. I'd love to.
That is awesome. And before I let you go, I have two last questions for you. So one, and these like just your top one. What is the best piece of business advice you've ever received?
Own your imperfections as your unique, authentic character.
I love it. I 100% agree. And then lastly, what would you tell your younger self? Imagine you're 13 or you're 18 years old, or you're telling somebody who's 13, 18, like, what is your best advice to the next generation?
Greatest advice to the next generation: go forward with faith, nothing doubting. that has been my motto this year. First instincts. Trust your intuition. Don't talk yourself out of stuff. Okay? Go with your flow, which is if it's not leading you to commit a crime, go with that. Train your intuition. Be your authentic self. And that's okay. If nobody likes that, fine. They're not your tribe. The people that are your tribe will connect with your authentic imperfection, vibrational frequency, your unique self. And there, you don't have to be anybody else but yourself. And everybody loves you for yourself.
I love it. I agree 100%. You're not going to make everybody happy, and that's okay. If you are your authentic self, you're going to attract those people into your life
that are going to support you and uplift you. And this is where you got to look at your circle of influence. And if there's people dragging you down, you got to say goodbye, or else, and you control your life with your thoughts.
Yes. I love it. I tell my stepdaughter this all the time. I tell my friends all the time. You are 6 inches away from anything you want in your life.
It is so true, and I will show you
and
this.
You're like right there.
This okay. So I was here for the interview, and I was like, I don't have my earrings on. I looked over there. Earrings match my outfit, which is right over there. Right. It is so much fun. It is so much fun to live in miracles of flow. It's such a way to live. Miracles every day, and I throw a temper tantrum if I don't get one.
Amen. Well, Coach Dee, I appreciate you being on the podcast today. I hope you have a great day, and thank you for being on with us.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure. I hope to get to speak with you again soon. Okay. Let's do it again.
Have a good day. Yes. We'll do it.
Thank you.